What's going on, guys? It's Boxing with Jay. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video below. It really does help me out. Chris Billiam-Smith defeats Issac Chamberlain via unanimous decision in an absolute war in Bournemouth tonight on Sky Sports. What a fight that was. That was probably one of the best British fights I've seen in a while. Both guys just have so much heart. It's unbelievable. And I really like the venue tonight. Like, this is the first fight night in Bournemouth, I think. Chris Billiam-Smith, obviously from Bournemouth, and I think they had like 3,000 people in there. And what an atmosphere, you know, them 3,000 fans gave. They were really behind Chris Billiam-Smith. The atmosphere was good all night. It helped that the fight was really good. The main event was really good. And, you know, both guys just put it on the line. And the difference in this fight, in my opinion, was experience. Even though Issac Chamberlain's had more fights than Chris Billiam-Smith, he hasn't had the hard fights that Chris Billiam-Smith's had, you know, against Richard Riakporhe and Tommy McCarthy. And he also had that hard fight for the, was it for the European title or the fight just before that, Chris Billiam-Smith, against one of them European fighters. He's had a few tough fights, Chris Billiam-Smith. He's done the rounds, you know, 12 hard rounds a couple of times. And he's been in them hard fights. And Issac Chamberlain, you know, he had that fight against Lawrence Okoli a few years ago, which was very lackluster. Lawrence Okoli clearly won that fight, but it was a very horrible fight to watch in terms of being a fan. A lot of holding, a lot of clinching, not much punching. And since then, he's been on the rebuild. He's fought a few, you know, softer opponents and won in quite quick fashion. So he hasn't had that experience that Chris Billiam-Smith has. He was the European champion coming in. So, you know, he had that extra gear when he needed it tonight. He was absolutely knackered, Chris Billiam-Smith, in there. A few times, he looked like he was wilting. And it looked like if Issac Chamberlain, you know, jumped on him a little bit, then he could maybe force something, you know, a stoppage, or he could hurt Chris Billiam-Smith. But, you know, he was very tired himself, and he just didn't have it in him or the experience, you know, to jump on Chris Billiam-Smith in them situations. But Chris Billiam-Smith, you know, he found a second, even a third gear in there tonight, and his engine is just tremendous. Like, in them championship rounds, he looked totally spent, but he was just still coming forward, letting his hands go, landing some very good shots on Issac Chamberlain. Issac Chamberlain's eye was busted open. It was swelled up really bad. And I think, in the end, Issac Chamberlain, he just didn't have anything much left in him. He didn't have much left in him in terms of power, in terms of strength. He just couldn't really find that big shot until right at the end of the fight. With about 20 seconds to go, he managed to put a few punches together that seemed to get Chris Billiam-Smith going a little bit. At this point, Chris Billiam-Smith is absolutely on empty. He's running on fumes, and I think maybe if he had another minute or so, or half a round, maybe he could have put something together there, Issac Chamberlain. But alas, the bell rang, and Chris Billiam-Smith was the worthy winner in the end. The final scorecards, all three judges scored the fight 117, 111, all in favour of Chris Billiam-Smith. I had the fight 116, 112 to Chris Billiam-Smith. I felt that he ran away with the fight, you know, in the later rounds. I thought after 5 or 6 rounds, it was very close. But then I thought Chris Billiam-Smith managed to run away with it, and then obviously he was the one stronger in the championship round. So I had him winning the fight 8-4. But 117, 111, I'm not mad at that. A few of the rounds were pretty close, especially the early rounds. It was one of them fights. Both guys were having success, you know, in spurts, but Chris Billiam-Smith was a lot more consistent. He was consistently working to the body. He was the one who was putting the better shots together, the more eye-catching shots. Issac Chamberlain, like I said, had his moments, but he didn't do enough in there. Like, he'd put a few good punches together, and then he stopped working, and he allowed Chris Billiam-Smith to push him back onto the ropes. So, yeah, Chris Billiam-Smith retains his European title. He is now the Commonwealth champion as well. Was he the Commonwealth champion going in? Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, he was. My bad. But yeah, Chris Billiam-Smith, what's next for him? Obviously, the promoter of new IBF champion Jay Opetaia was in attendance, and he was getting spoke to in between rounds, and he said that either winner of tonight's fight between these two guys would be a good first opponent for Opetaia when he comes back from his broken jaw injury, which he sustained in his title-winning effort against Maris Breeders. So that would be a good fight. Obviously, there's Richard Riakporhe as well, who beat Chris Billiam-Smith via split decision a few years ago. That was a very close fight. That would be a good fight as well. There's options for Chris Billiam-Smith in the cruiserweight division. And, you know, if he can get the fighters to come to Bournemouth, I know it's not a massive venue, but it's a very good atmosphere. You know, the fans seem to really get behind him, and he could have a couple of good fight nights here, Chris Billiam-Smith. On the undercard, you had Ben Whittaker making his pro debut. Ben Whittaker, what can I say? You know, standout amateur, Olympic silver medalist. He did what he had to do against the level of opponent he fought tonight. It's his professional debut. He's very flashy. He's very cocky. We all know this about Ben Whittaker. He's very Marmite. I feel like he's going to be Marmite. You know, fans are either going to love him or they're going to hate the flashiness and the cockiness. But, you know, that knockout he got tonight was very good. It was very highlight reel-esque. And I feel like he has a bright future ahead of him. But this was just the first step tonight. And Fraser Clark on the undercard as well. He fought Bracamonte, a guy who's fought Dave Allen. And he fought Jarrell Miller a few weeks ago in Jarrell Miller's comeback, where Jarrell Miller was something like 360 pounds. But, you know, Fraser Clark, he did what he had to do against that level of opponent as well. Bracamonte, obviously journeyman, incredibly out of shape. Fraser Clark looked like he had good hand speed in there tonight, good variety. That's one thing I like about Fraser Clark. He's got very good punch variety, and he showed that tonight, and he dispatched the guy in the second round. So yeah, decent night of boxing. Sky Sports and Boxer put on a good show tonight. They've got a decent run of shows coming up. They've got the return of Florian Marku. They've got the Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields fight, all on free TV. So, you know, some good fight nights ahead.